Are you guys hyped for Banjo and Kazooie and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? I know I am. I follow all the original people who worked on the original project because I really love how open and honest they are. And of course, with Banjo and Kazooie being announced, one of the most fascinating aspects about all this was just seeing their tweets about Banjo and Kazooie. But Twitter as a platform only gives you so much to work with as far as how you can express yourself, so I thought I'd bring on two people from the original Banjo-Kazooie team to talk about what they thought about the announcement of Banjo-Kazooie and Super Smash Bros. So, if you'll join me, we're going to splice two interviews together. One is with Grant Kirkhope, the original composer for Banjo-Kazooie, as well as the lead art director for Banjo-Kazooie, Steve Mayles, who was not only responsible for the look and feel of Banjo-Kazooie, but he was also the animator for the characters, as well as the person who came up with the character design for King K. Rool and Dixie Kong. Both of these gentlemen earned my appreciation and utter respect, so I hope that these questions interest you as much as they did me. But with that said, let's get started with Grant and then trade back and forth between him and Steve. Alrighty, so first of all, Grant, I originally wanted you to come on here just to talk about your reactions with Banjo, which we will definitely get to, but then all of a sudden a bombshell hit where it turns out that you're going to do a remix for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. So I really would love if you could tell us a, very descriptive story about how that came to be, when you found out, and what your feelings and thoughts were along the way.
So it must have been about January this year that they contacted me. And it came through, funny enough, like Davide Soliani, who's the creative director at Ubisoft Milan, who I did the Mario Rabbids game with. He messaged me to say, Grant, Nintendo would like to talk to you. Can I pass on your contact info? And I was a bit like, of course you can, it's Nintendo. So he did that. It took a couple of days, and then I got a message from Nintendo Japan saying, it just said something like, we have a 3-minute piece. We'd like you to, no, something like, what was it? It was, we'd like your assistance on an arrangement of an already composed existing 3-minute piece. And that was it. And I was like, ugh. And I kept thinking, I was like, I don't care what I'll do. I don't care what it is, And I started thinking to myself, is it Smash? Because I instantly thought it must be Banjo and Smash, right? But then I thought it can't be that, because they've got a really fantastic team of remixers over in Japan that do all that stuff. They never use the original composers, and what they do is always fantastic. So I kind of thought they don't need me to do that. And then I was thinking, well, maybe it must be something to do with the Rabbids. Perhaps they're putting one of the Rabbids characters into the Smash game, or that's all I could think of, because there was only one piece, right? So it took about a little while to sort out the NDA. It takes, because it just takes Nintendo Japan to contact Nintendo America, then contact my agent, and then it's all that kind of round in a circle thing. So that took a little while. I guess about a month actually. It's quite longer than I thought. And then they finally made me to say, yes, it is Banjo and Smash, and I was like, oh my god, I can't believe it. And then they said, so we'd like you to do.
Quickly to interrupt you for a second. When did you find out that it was Banjo? Like, do you remember what month?
It must have been February, I think, around there somewhere.
Okay, so it only took about a month to find out.
Yeah, but around there. I'm guessing. I'll have to look at my emails, but I think it's around there somewhere. Yeah. So then they just said we'd like to do the a 2.5 minute to 3-minute piece, anything you like from Banjo, do whatever you want to do. But they sent me a little PowerPoint document with some kind of guidelines in it, and it was sort of loosely, and it was like, we like the piece to start in sort of 3 or 4 seconds with a bit of an intro, then go straight into the main theme so all the fans recognize the theme, whatever it is, and sort of two-thirds of the way through, can you sort of take it down in volume a little bit to get ready to loop it round back to the start again, like that. So I was like, all right, fair enough. It's pretty broad, it's pretty standard, So I was trying to think what I would do, what piece I would pick. And I thought about Mad Master Mansion, and I thought it's not jolly enough, and I thought about doing maybe like Treasure Trove Cove, or I was trying to think what would be the best piece to do. I also said to me, you can do a medley, do whatever you want. So I thought I'd start off with something and do medley all the way through, and add lots of a bit like Banjo Land in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. And then I settled on sort of Spiral Mountain. I thought, well, Spiral Mountain is sort of the first thing you kind of walk into. It's a well-known piece. I thought I'll just do that. So I usually do. Some developers don't like this, but I always say, do you mind if I do like sort of 32 bars, 16 bars of the tune, send it in, and you can tell me if you think it's in the right direction. You don't like it, I can change it rather than write a whole piece of music and then just say no and start again. So I did like 16 bars or so of Spiral Mountain, sent it in, and I've done that kind of that orchestral bit that you hear at the end of the trailer first. because it was supposed to be epic and big all that kind of thing. That's what I thought I'd do. And so they said, "Oh, we love that. We'd like to see what you do next." So then I thought, well, I said, I've got to stick banjo in it somewhere. I have to have an actual banjo in it. So I did the banjo bit after that, and I sent it off again, and like feedback came back from, I was pronouncing, is it Sakurai? I pronounced his name wrong, but I think it's Sakurai or Sakurai, whatever. Anyway, so feedback comes from him to Nintendo to me, and it said, we think it's great, but can you put the banjo bit at the start and then do the orchestra bit at the end, which is kind of contrary to what the brief I got from the PowerPoint document thing. And I was like, I'll do anything you like. I don't care. I'll stand on my head. I don't care. So I switched it around and said, keep the first bit nice and dry, so it sounds like it's quite a small little ensemble. And then he said, go as completely crazy as you want in the second half. But he said, but also we'd like you to stick just as Sparrow Mountain, and because we like the way that sounds, and not to do any other tunes in the piece, because we've got other remixers working on other stuff. I was like, oh, right. But he said, we wouldn't mind you having some quotes from other pieces. So I started to think I could maybe include a little bit some other tunes from the game in the Sparrow Mountain piece, So, I did that, and I did a few iterations. I think I got to 10 iterations in the end. I don't normally do that many. I normally just do 2 or 3 really if it's not going well. But they just wanted little tweaks like less reverb and bits and pieces like that. And then I sent it off, and they were happy. Said, "Great, thank you very much." And all that was done, But then they said to me, "Oh, by the way," they actually sent me a little video of the fighting stage, and it happened to be Sparrow Mountain. I was like, "Oh my god, I didn't realize it was the actual fighting stage too," And but there was no banjo in it, so I hadn't seen banjo at all. I'd just seen other characters fighting on the Sparrow Mountain fight stage. And then said to me, "Actually, we like the piece a lot. We're going to use it for the reveal." I was like, "Oh my god, that was!" I couldn't believe they're going to actually use it for the trailer. But I kind of guessed that a little bit of me and other pieces mixed in. But when it came to the trailer, it was just all my music, So I was absolutely over the moon. I couldn't believe it.
So yeah, what did you think of the reveal?
Oh, it was just mind blowing. There's no other word for it, really. I mean, I just couldn't take it in. I had to watch the reveal later in the day about 10 or 20 times just to take in everything that was going on. It was just really surreal.
Now, did you find out the same time as us? Was it at that? Did you watch the direct, or did someone have to tag you and then you found out about it?
No, I was watching it live in the Playtonic office with some of the other guys. So it was I didn't officially know. I mean, I can sort of see the rumors and the leaks as much as anybody else, and obviously with the increase in banjo promotional material and figures over the past few weeks and months, you kind of think, something could happen here.
Is that why you guys at Playtonic actually tuned in for the direct, or is that something you guys typically do?
Oh no, they're all huge Nintendo fans, so we tune in for every direct. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, first of all, I mean, you got the heads up, of course. I don't think you got the trailer itself until it finally had its premiere.
No.
At E3. What did you think? What did you think of the reveal?
Oh man, it was absolutely perfect. Like they do Nintendo are just the best, right? They did such a fantastic job on that trailer. It ticked all the boxes. It was nostalgic and touched the heartstrings. I was crying along with everybody else when I was watching it. It was absolutely, couldn't believe it. I mean, seeing some of the fan reactions, like the New York one, and just those moments only happen once in a lifetime, I think, really, and it was so special. I didn't really expect people to go that crazy, and it's kind of, there's something that really touches, when you see somebody totally lose it with happiness, like some of these fan videos, it really touches your heart. I think everyone connects on that kind of human level, and to see people absolutely be that, crying and laughing at the same time, like I was the same. I don't know. I think those things are once in a lifetime,
Oh my God. So you got to tell me, what was it like because there's so many of you that worked on Banjo at that office, I imagine, right? So what was the reaction like when you guys found out for the first time?
I think we were just stunned, really.
Silent stun, or was there like an uproar?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think we kind of thought something might happen, so it wasn't. I don't think it was quite as surprising as the K. Rool announcement last year.
Oh, congratulations on that too, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was
Nintendo seems to. That trailer, by the way, I have to say, like, it's almost like a love letter to you, because like so many characters that you designed are wholly in that trailer, and it's almost as if, like, obviously the way that the trailer is set up is that it's supposed to be like this encapsulates all of Rare's work here in this one trailer. What did you think about that?
It's just surreal to see these characters I made 20, well, more than 20 years ago in some cases, 20 years ago, and they're back like in high resolution, looking as I originally created them. It's just strange but awesome at the same time.
I mean, it must be amazing to be able to see all those YouTube reaction videos as well as people tweeting at you. I'm sure like your Twitter was on fire that day.
Yeah, and it was crazy also because like I had to because Nintendo like to think to be all organized, I had to kind of show them what I wanted to tweet, weeks ago, and they had to approve it. And that little video that I did, they wanted to approve that as well.
Hold on a second. Was that the one where you kind of did the Star Wars bit?
Yeah.
Banjo, we're back.
Yeah. Yep.
Banjo, Kazooie, we're home.
That was great, by the way.
I know, it's my little attempt at Star Wars. I don't know. It was a bit crappy, but I tried my best. But they had to prove it. Oh, and then said, well, you can't really tweet anything out until it's live on the Smash website. That was the kind of rules that they said. So, it started at 9, and it was about 11 until it appeared on the website. So I was started looking at my Twitter, just go like this, wanted to reply to people, and so yes, I did it because I couldn't even say that, So I had to wait for the okay from the Nintendo guys, and they said it was like 5 to 11 when they finally said, yeah, it's on the website, you can tweet. I was just like, oh my god, I was like, bursting to tweet, so it was that was just it, all of that. It's crazy surreal thing that you don't expect it.
So speaking of NDAs, how painful was it to keep the secret from not only fans? I mean, obviously that's got to be the easiest part, but like also your colleagues that have worked on Banjo 20 years ago.
That was so hard. So my phone. That was just you wanted to tell us things so badly. It's one of those things that you just got to go, guess what I'm doing? Well, my wife knew, my kids knew actually. My kids saw me in my room writing something and they kind of guessed. My son guessed, he's 16, he's a big Smash player, loves playing Smash. I said, you can't tell any of your friends at school. I said, it's and it's not even a joke, Max. I said, it's absolutely, you can't tell. And they really didn't tell us so. I didn't tell anybody. As I said, my family knew that was it.
Does your son love Banjo-Kazooie?
Oh yeah,
the game?
Oh yeah, definitely. My daughter's 13, my son's 16. So yeah, they've obviously played it over the years, kind of thing. I said, I think that he was on his phone at school under the desk watching the reveal, so he could say to his friends, "Ha ha!" I knew for ages, like that. But it was a man, that was a hard secret to keep. It really was.
You obviously designed Banjo from the ground up, and then he had a redesign later on in the franchise, and then obviously Mr. Sakurai went with your initial design. Now I don't see too many liberties taken to adjust it, aside from one thing that you mentioned on Twitter actually, where the backpack now opens up for the bottom.
Oh yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, obviously it's based off of your design, so how do you feel? Do you feel like it's true to the original concept, or do you think that there was liberties that we're not seeing as fans of Banjo and Kazooie?
No, I think it's very true to the original concept. I was surprised that they hadn't made any tweaks, because with the K. Rool model they gave him a bit of a nip and tuck, and he came out looking even as good as he's ever looked. But with Banjo, they seem to have been very careful to make sure that he looked almost exactly the same as the N64 promotional model that I did, which is it's a great honor for me. That
you look at all the conversations online, and some people say like, oh, something seems a bit off. But if you really look at your work and contrast it side by side with what you see in the trailer, it really isn't. And I think that. And maybe you can also agree with this or disagree with this, but I think maybe it's because we don't get to see that model at every single angle like you did when you created it. So when obviously you have that opportunity to see Banjo at every single angle, and so when you see him in this trailer, would you say it's like almost 100% accurate?
Yes. I mean, I think if I was doing it, I would have made a few changes, but I can see, I can completely understand why why they copied the N64 model, because that is the model the fans love. I can completely understand that. And if they made too many changes, you're going to get people saying, "Oh, it doesn't look like Banjo anymore." So
That's me. Perfect voice impression too. No, what changes would you make? Actually, I'm kind of interested by that.
well, you put me on the spot now.
Oh no, you don't have to if you don't want to. It's okay.
Well, no, that's okay. Tighter shorts. He always needs his tie short. The proportions of the new Smash model are more similar to the very original Banjo that no one ever really saw. That was in Project Dream.
No kidding, really?
So his head's a lot smaller, because when he made the transition from sort of adventure game into the 3D platformer that we know and love of Banjo, I scaled his head up and made some changes to his proportions as well, just so he'd better fit the sort of more cutesy style of the platformer. But this one has gone back a little bit to that adventure game style Banjo.
That makes sense too, because at the time there was really low resolution for the N64, and so with the camera scaled so far back in most of the game, I'm sure that decision was probably made so that you can get a better look at the character model. Is that right?
Yeah, that was usually the case. Yeah, absolutely.
What would you say is a better feeling for you? Back in 1998, finding out that your game was a success and that you were the composer for it, or fast forwarding to now where the character is now in Super Smash Brothers and people are thrilled to death to see a character that you helped bring to life through your creation and music? Which one would you say is like an even bigger feeling for you?
I think it feels better now, really, because back then the internet wasn't really happening back then. So you put your game out, you might wait a month for a review for the magazines to come out and review the thing, so you wouldn't know if it was good or bad. Now it's instant. People review things in the first second the thing gets released. So, and for people to get to me on Twitter and Instagram and all that, you really feel and seeing the videos from like the New York Comic Con, not Comic Con, the New York Nintendo store, and all that stuff. You wouldn't see that back then. You wouldn't see any of that back then. So it definitely feels way bigger now, just because because the internet, you can see things, people can tweet at you and think it's bad or good, whether they like it or not. You get all those reactions instantly. So like, I don't think I've felt like this before in video games. I mean, I really don't think I have. Like, I think when Mario Rabbids came out, that was gigantic, and I guess it's comparable to that. I think getting to do Mario was amazing, and Mr. Miyamoto on the stage at Ubisoft, the conference at E3 a couple of years ago, was incredible, and the game.
Oh yeah, you were right there next to David. And you told him to stand up, right?
Yeah. Like that was equally as incredible, and I think that for me, those two moments of my career have to be the biggest, really, because I haven't felt anything like that before, especially the Banjo thing. Like, I was just in floods of tears. Like, and every time I watch the fan reaction, I was in floods of tears again. It's like, my wife was like, "You're just a crazy old man," I said, I can't help it. Seeing these people's reactions, it's so touching. It really does. It makes you realize just what a big force video games are in general. People, when I was younger, it's all about music, because video games are very small. Well, they didn't exist when I was a kid, right? Because I'm back in the dark ages, So, there's such a big intrinsic part of people's lives these days that it's just I don't know. I haven't really got I haven't got the superlative in my vocabulary to be able to say, you know what I mean? It's like I can't compare it to anything.
Being that you also designed King K. Rool and Dixie Kong, those are characters that, of course, you wholly created, but it was within an umbrella that was pre-established. Now with Banjo and Kazooie, that's a project that was made from the ground up that you were a large part of. And I was wondering, now, obviously, you got to experience that moment in which they used your character, King K. Rool. Big deal, of course, but with the reveal of Banjo-Kazooie, was it more like diminishing returns seeing him come back, or was there an even deeper feeling because it was a character that was wholly created by you that became its own franchise?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the thing with Banjo, it's more the whole package for me as well, like the way they've carefully recreated all my animations as well. Whereas with K. Rool, even though he's doing similar things with the blunderbuss and the crown, but because they were taken like from the Super Nintendo, it's not quite the same. There wasn't that much scope with the animation on the Super Nintendo, but and obviously it wasn't a 3D model, well, pre-rendered 3D, but as it is now, the Banjo model and doing all those animations, for me, the Banjo is as much about the animations I did as the character I designed. So I'd have to say it probably does top K. Rool just, yeah.
Now, in 2019, you get to see fans reacting on camera to the reveal of Banjo-Kazooie and King K. Rool and things like that. How would you describe the feelings seeing your fans get the character that they wanted that was established by almost 20 years ago?
Oh, I'll never get tired of watching those reaction videos, to see people, losing the shit over Banjo's appearance again after all these years. Obviously, if he'd been in a game like 3 or 4 years ago, then people wouldn't be having this reaction. Part of it is because, he's been gone for so long and people feel that is a real injustice that he's been gone for so long. But yeah, I mean, I'll just watch those reactions all day, and I'd be lying if I didn't say, I teared up a little bit, especially at the I think it was the Nintendo store in New York announcement, where everyone's cheering and yelling. It was just, there was a little tear in my eye, I must admit.
There's also a very phenomenal series that you're currently a part of called Yooka-Laylee. I loved the premiere title that you put out just, I think it was 2 years ago now. Is that right?
Yes, I think it was. It was April, wasn't it? Yeah, just over 2 years, yeah.
Wonderful title. I loved it. And now you have a new one coming out, if you want to share that information with everybody.
We do, yes. So this is the second Yooka-Laylee game that's set in the Yooka-Laylee universe. It's called Yooka-Laylee and the Impossible Lair. And instead of just doing, like, I think people may have expected just to do another 3D platformer, but we've gone 2D. So it's a 2D platformer. It's very fluid, very fast, very responsive. But as well as that, there's also a 3D overworld, which acts like a map screen, but it's a lot more than that. It's like a mini adventure game in itself. There's puzzles to solve, characters to meet. And I think it's a really nice change of pace because the 2D levels are quite frantic, and then you come to this sprawling overworld, and you've got like a nice little puzzle to solve that might unlock more 2D levels. So yeah, we're really excited about the game. It'll be coming out later this year, releasing on PC, PlayStation, Xbox and Switch, and that'll be in both digital and physical formats. Yeah, right. Well, before we go, just thank you to all the Banjo fans who've always kept the faith over the years. I'm sure they're really happy at the moment. And of course, thanks to Mr. Sakurai and the Smash team for doing such a fantastic job in bringing Banjo and Kazooie back.
So I just wanted to say thank you so much for hopping on and taking part in this interview. And I think a lot of us learned a lot today, honestly.
All right.
I know I did. So,
well, thanks for wanting to talk to me. It's been great. Thanks very much.
All right. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye.
Also got to mention the fact that this is typically a channel for Boundary Break, a show in which we take the game's camera anywhere we want to try to find secrets and new discoveries. And of course, I did an episode on both Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. I think one of the craziest things I ever found was in the Banjo-Tooie episode, where in a cutscene for the game, there is a model of Klungo stored off to the side, despite the fact that he's already used in this scene. In fact, you can even see him animate a bit. Either way, I appreciate the fact that you made it this far into the video, and I hope to see you again very soon. Also, thank you so much, Grant and Steve, for the amazing childhood memories. There are very few things on this planet more important than that, so thank you.